I'd like to also highlight something, which is your message of focusing on what you can do versus what you can't do. There might be someone listening to this, John, who maybe they have, let's say, they've been convinced by society or someone else telling them that they can't do something, whereas you've achieved an awful lot. What would you say as advice for someone who, let's say they've been told they can't do something? What would you say to them?
What advice do you have?
My advice, follow your heart, follow your dreams, work hard, so you can do.
We have a focus. It's part of our approach to working with all of our colleagues. Right? A key part of that is put people in a position to succeed. Don't ask them to do what they can't do. So John here,
Yeah.
you do an awful lot of things in the business, right?
I did.
But we don't ask you to manage our finances.
Right.
Because that's not a strength. Or when it comes to hiring in our warehouse, we do our own fulfillment, right? If you sell goods online, somehow you got to have a pick and pack warehouse. Many people outsource that. But because we're creating jobs, we do it ourselves. It also fits with our pillar of making things personal, allows us to personalize the packaging and the service. But when it comes to hiring, now what do we call our pickers?
Sock wranglers.
Sock wranglers. So that's our entry-level job. We focus on, can you do that job? And we don't look at externalities or things that don't matter. So that has enabled us to see that our best hiring pool are people with different abilities because they can do that job. And that's literally how we hire them. We train people, and to get the job, you got to pass the sock wrangler test. You got to pick 6 orders in 30 minutes or less. Show us you can do the job, you got the job.
It was something that I was going to ask you about, was your hiring process. But it's kind of like a test, is that right?
Well, yes, and the hiring process, it is a comprehensive approach that it doesn't just start. You can't start hiring when you decide, oh, we need a position, we need to fill a job. So, for us, and here's some of the things that happen ahead of time. We host tours here. So schools and social service agencies come in here all the time to see what it is we do. And now their students or clients get exposure to what we do. And that opens their eyes of, oh, I can get a job, I can work, but also I may want to come and work with John's crazy sock. We host work groups from schools and social service agencies that will bring 5 or 6 people in for an hour or 2 a week, just so they can get some work experience. But again, those are people who now see what we do, and we get to see them. And the schools and social service agencies get to know us. And we work with some of those social service agencies that bring people in, and they do assessments with them because they want to see them in a field. So now, when it's time, we have an opening, we go to hire. We have this pool of people that are familiar with us, they see what the jobs are like, and they're either able to apply directly or find candidates for us. And we extend that through our social media and our colleagues who help recruit people. So as an example, we surge during the holiday season. We're very seasonal. We do 40% of our business in the last 2 months of the year. So we got to hire extra staff during the holidays. In our part of the world, there's a growing labor shortage. Employees couldn't find enough good workers. We had a surplus of people. We were easily able to fill every job we had. And it's because of whom we consider, right? We don't artificially exclude anybody. And it's because we develop these relationships. So when we have openings, we get a lot of people coming and applying for those jobs.
Congratulations on all that. I think that's amazing. Coming back to the mission just shortly, I think there are a lot of people who are perhaps working and they don't have that level of happiness in their job. What would you advise them, or how do you spread happiness in the workplace?
Well, I can tell you our approach, and we've kind of broken it down to 5 pieces. First, as an employer, as an organization, we have to offer people a mission worthy of their commitment, something meaningful, some purpose that's larger than ourselves. It's got to be more than just make money. In the US, we've been going through what people are referring to as the big quit or the big resignation. 4 million people a month have been quitting their jobs. And some of it is because they're saying, I'm not going to take that crappy pay. And some of it is because they're saying, well, what am I doing this for? And so an organization, we start by saying, well, we have something. We have a purpose that's going to make a difference. And it's worthy of your commitment, worthy of your time. That's 1. 2, everybody has to know why their job matters, how their job fits into that mission and that purpose, why we need them. Some of it is, some of that is just a sense of gratitude of, we don't view it, you ought to be thankful we gave you a job. We view it as, we're grateful you work with us. We're grateful to see the work you do. So everybody here, if you ask them, what's your job about? They're going to tell you, I'm spreading happiness. And they'll tell you why. Third, put people in a position to succeed. Don't ask them to do what they can't do. Give them the right direction and the right tools and right support. We just hired a web designer / graphic artist / video editor. Sat down with her. What type of computer do you want to work with and do you need? Because we know you're going to need a special machine given what you're doing. And we don't have endless resources, but give somebody what they need. If someone needs a special chair, get them a special chair. It's not hard. And don't ask people to do what they can't do. Find their strengths and build on that. Fourth, you have to recognize what everybody does. You show up at your job, Thomas, and you care about it. You want to do good work. So just let's recognize it. Say to somebody, I mentioned that web designer. So she just yesterday published her first new page that she built on our site. It's better than anything we've done before. So immediately came running and saying, just thank you so much. You made us look so good. Right? Oftentimes that's all it is. It's just saying thank you. Yes, it gets into pay. You have to pay fair. Doesn't mean you have to pay the top, but everybody has to be paid fairly. Because I don't think pay ever becomes an incentive, but it can be a disincentive. If you think you're not being paid right, that's going to bother you. Right? And with us, it means if the company does well, everybody should share in that. So we structure things around bonuses that are not tied to your individual performance, that's some of it, but it's really tied to team and organizational performance. We're all in this together. And then the last piece of that is, give people that mission, make sure they know what they're doing, put them in a position to succeed, recognize what they do, and then stay the hell out of the way. Let people do their jobs.